To the families who have lost loved ones in times of war and conflict, I acknowledge the grief and pain that you suffered and feel honoured to have you with us here today. The dedication of the Pacific Islands Memorial was due to take place a year ago at the height of lockdown. That's what makes it particularly special to finally be able to welcome you here to Piahu National War Memorial Park for this long-awaited event. This memorial stands in recognition of the service and sacrifice of the Pacific peoples who supported New Zealand in the First and Second World Wars and in subsequent conflicts around the world. It also stands as a symbol of Aotearoa New Zealand's special bond and enduring friendship with our Pacific neighbours. The design of the Pacific Islands Memorial, as you've heard, is poignantly named Te Reo Hotonui o Te Moana Nui a Kiwa, the deep sigh of the Pacific. In this special place, we come to remember and we reflect and we find another, perhaps lesser known connection to fallen Pacific warriors. The Pūtakawa trees here at the National War Memorial were planted by Te Aotearoa, an iwi which shares a long connection with Pacific peoples, to acknowledge the courage of Pacific soldiers and in recognition of those who fell. The Pūtakawa symbolise the eternal and sacred bond between the living and the dead, a bond we acknowledge here today. Pacific peoples served under the New Zealand flag in both World Wars in foreign lands many miles from home and the life they knew. Many also served on the home front. I especially acknowledge the Pacific Island Coast Watchers, risking themselves to protect their homes, families, and the wider region. During the First World War especially, Pacific soldiers faced many additional hardships in their service. They had to endure colder climates and language barriers, but one of the greatest causes of suffering for Pacific soldiers was their exposure to foreign illness and disease. Even with fighting over, they were cruelly confronted with the 1918 influenza epidemic which swept the world and had a lasting and devastating effect. The Pacific Islands Memorial, may it be a place to come and reflect and remember. In the memory of those lost, we also think of what we gained, a deeper connection with our past and with each other, our families, our communities. Aotearoa's place in the Pacific, and we will always, its place is in the Pacific, and we will always stand in solidarity with our Pacific neighbours, acting on the world stage in the name of peace and prosperity. This morning, in this beautiful place, in the shadow of this beautiful monument, we stand together in gratitude for one another, in reverence and in remembrance. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years run them. Going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember.